superb. And of course, Forest Natalie, Dave, was a star in her own right.
Yeah, I got to admit, Kev, it was a bit of a strange one because I remember seeing get to the Sprint of Sheffield, the Northern Sprint final for yourself, and then got wind of her turning up at Shelbourne Park. I think she was trained by Martin Lanney. Spoke to my good friend and colleague Ian Fortune, and he was telling me, this bitch is doing some unbelievable clocks to the third bend. They're eyeing up the Irish Oaks, and I'm thinking, are they? But what a success story!
It was. I mean, again, Forest Natalie was she was absolutely brilliant. She really was. Her early pace was frightening, and we had her over for ourselves. And she took she took 2 or 3 races to get going.
In 6 here, this is the Oaks final in 6. I mean, just early speed, Kev.
Yeah, early speed. I mean, we were a bit worried this day because the weather was awful. It didn't stop raining all day, and she was obviously going to be better on top of the ground. But it was quite a slow track. But she got the brake right, and her early pace was just sensational. And she forged her way to the front. I say the people tell me her clocks at the third bend in Shelbourne were ridiculous. Unfortunately, she had enough in the tank to hold off Tibet. Win the Irish Oaks. I mean, again, what an absolute dream come true. But a really, really special bitch. She done some terrific runs for us at Swindon. She was getting down to low 16s on the old Swindon track, winning opens. Every Wednesday evening there, she was very, very good. And it was kind of a chance conversation with Martin Nanny. Really, he was over treating our dogs, and we brought Natalie out to be treated. And he said, "God, this would be some bitch for the Sprint Cup in Dundalk." He said, "I've not got too much for it this year." And we said, "Well, there's not an awful lot over here. Take her and give her a chance." And it was the best thing we ever did. She never looked back. She posted some ridiculous times around Dundalk. I think she's the only ever bitch to break the 21 round there. She was beat at Shorthead in the final of the Sprint Cup. And then went on to be a brilliant winner of the Irish Oaks. So, yeah, very, very special bitch. Very, very lucky to own her, yeah.
I was just about to say, was it a bit strange being in a big final? I know Martin is part of your team, is a physio that you use, but you didn't sort of really have any control there. He was steering the ship, he was training her, and you was the owner. So how different was that for you, Kev?
It was really enjoyable, actually, Dave. Yeah, just completely left Martin to it. Whatever he wanted to do with her, he got on and did. And we trust him 100%. And it was just a great relationship. We've had dogs sort of to and fro ever since. So, no, I think the experience done us good. So it was very, very enjoyable to go to Shelbourne with no pressure in a big final and just thoroughly enjoy it.
And a mention on Martin, I know you think the world of him and rate him highly, even to a point that you actually fly him over to give your dogs the once over, which you mentioned earlier on. You did Drota's Wildcat during the Derby. Yeah,
we were fairly chancing. An owner of ours at the time knew of Martin, so we arranged to bring him over and go from there. Watch him treat our dogs, and we never look back. We try and get him over every 6 weeks, every 2 months if we can, to treat them all. And obviously a big competition like the Derby. I think he was over 3 times during the Derby to treat Wildcat. Which was very, very important for that dog, actually, because he used to get fairly trapped up down his back. And Martin was the best man we found to be able to release him. And I don't think he'd have won a Derby without Martin's help, that's for sure. He made a huge difference to that dog. And so we never look back, and we get him over as often as we can to treat all the dogs.
Now, without giving away the secrets, Kev, he's a physio. He manipulates the dogs. In a nutshell, what does he do?
Yeah, he manipulates the dogs to get them. He gets everything back in line where it should be. So if there's any trapped nerves, or the dog could be out somewhere, so he's the best man we found to be able to put them right. Different from other physios that might check the dog over and say a bit of soreness in the muscle here, you need to ultrasound, or give the dog a month off or whatever. He's purely about putting them back in line, and anything that's trapped or caught or causing the dog issues, he'll be able to put right. So we've learnt a lot from Martin, and it's been a great relationship for us.
Well, my next question was going to be, and perhaps the obvious one here is could you do it yourself?
We've picked up a lot from Martin, and I'm certainly a lot better trainer for knowing him. He's taught me a lot. I could never do it like as good as Martin does. I don't think. He spent years and years learning his trade and has adapted it from doing horses.
Really?
No, he used to be a farrier and began to learn everything that way. We're a long way off of what Martin could do, but he's certainly improved us and taught us a lot along the way, which has been a great help to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw Droopy's Danil earlier, Matt. Still on the theme of bitches. That was the first English Oaks winner trained by Kevin Hutton. Certainly not the last.
No, reigning Oaks winners the last couple of years, or for our guest tonight. 2018, Ravenswood Flow, owned by Stephen Harvey, a man whose passion for the game runs incredibly deep. Of course, he had the second that year as well with Magical Vera. We can have a little look at the replay now. She is in trap 1, and it's very much a case of away and gone for Flo here.
It was, yeah. I mean, she got a lovely draw on the night. We needed her to pop out and lead, and she just got everything right on the night. She flew the lids, and the competition just come at the perfect time for her. She was absolutely 100% bang on for the final. She was never going to be any better than she was that night. And so fortunately, she did everything right and run out a really good winner in the end. And even more special to see Magical Vera chasing her own. She was very unlucky in running, actually, Vera, and run a big race on the night. But yeah, not very often you get to train the first two home in an Oaks final. It was a great night, and Stephen and Sharon, two very special people, and it meant a lot to us that win.
6 months before, the Oaks was the 22nd of December. On the 15th of June, Ravenswood Flow won an A6 at Toaster. Now, Toaster was a decent grade, but that's some progression in 6 months. I mean, how much did that surprise you? How much she improved and so quickly?
Yeah, she come a long way. She really did. I mean, I bought her from the Forest Man, Paddy Keogh. I think I watched the trial, and there was just something about her I liked. She wasn't an expensive bitch by any means. We done the deal, and back she came, and she just, as I say, she just kept improving, and she really took to Swindon well. She was a brilliant railer. She had great early pace, and from an A6 to winning the English Oaks is pretty special. She was a cracking little bitch.
He did it again from the Red Jacket in 2019 with Bull Run Bites. We've got another replay of this coming up. I mean, it's not easy to win the Oaks, but you've now got three English Oaks. Yeah, I mean, how do you attribute your success with bitches?
We've always done well with bitches. Even back to when we were, just having a few graded dogs, we always seemed to have a great strike rate with the bitches. And the Oaks is probably my most favourite competition of the whole year. So to win 3 English Oaks finals, and it's a great feeling. And especially at Swindon, we trained there for I think 8 or 9 years. In the end, it's kind of our home track and is a special place to us. So to win a couple of big ones there was a great achievement for us. And Bull Run Bite has been a terrific bitch the whole way through. She fully deserved a big race on her CV. She had some massive runs pretty much wherever she went. And again, we were lucky to get a nice draw on the night, and she was foot perfect.
Yeah, away and gone and never in danger. Now, that was the last time we saw her in action. What is she going to do now? Are there plans to bring her back after lockdown, or is she off to become a brood in the near future?
I think we certainly want to race her again. There's a desire to race her again. She's certainly got another good year's racing in her. But obviously now a lot depends on what's happening with the open race calendar. Are the competitions going to be there for her? If they are, she'll certainly stay in training and take them in. And if not, probably the next time she comes in season, she'll be mated. The owner, Gilbert's very keen, obviously, to mate her. He's going to do the the litter of pups at home. So it'll be great fun for everyone. But she's I think she'll throw well. She's a very good bitch, good dam line, very well made, very sensible. She's got a lovely way about her. I think she'll make a good brood, that one.
Lovely. And of course, first for your kennel was to have Greyhound of the Year in 2018. Dave.
Yeah, well, he's so good, Kev. We're going to show him twice, the Wildcat. We can enjoy his Eclipse win, which capped a wonderful year. He's in the white jacket of Trap 3 here. Now, kept honest all the way to the line by Droopy's Trapper in Trap 4. I think it was Droopy's Trapper, but just another professional performance from him.
Yeah, it was the Droopy's Verve, actually, that chased him home.
Right,
yeah, in that race. And you know, he was a brilliant dog himself. Droopy's Verve was probably unlucky to come along at the same time as Wildcat, but no, I guess there was a fair bit of pressure in bringing the Derby winner back, keeping him in training. You know, obviously all eyes were on him. We were being judged, you know, with every bit of work he did, but thankfully he come back and won, you know, 5 out of 5 after his Derby, including going unbeaten through the clip. So it was a brilliant run, and you know, fully justified us keeping him in training.
And let's talk Greyhound of the Year as an accolade. Must have just been the real cherry on the top that year. You'd already, of course, won the Derby. Not all Derby winners go on to be crowned Greyhound of the Year, but he was a first for you as a trainer as well. Where does that sit with you, Kevin, in terms of achievements? I'm sure it's not equal to a Derby win, but for him to be seen, and you as a trainer to have campaigned him to perfection.
Yeah, it was again a very, very special award to get. That was, I think the Eclipse victory probably sealed it for him. You know, there was a lot of fans of King Turbo, quite rightly. You know, he'd had a fantastic year, winning I think four Category 1 competitions. So he'd had a great year, and you know, there was a lot of debate on who should get it. But I think Wildcat coming back and adding the Eclipse to his Derby win is probably what swung it for us. But yeah, very special to get a Greyhound of the Year. You know, if you can get one of those during your training career, you're probably not doing too bad. No, we had a great night, and Dave Usher and everyone come down, and we all thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think the dog fully deserved the accolade.
Well, I think it's certainly, you know, the general consensus within the greyhound racing community is that he is one of the best we've seen in recent years. Tell us about where he is now, Kev, and what he's up to.
Yeah, well, he left us a few months ago to go to Michael Dunphy's at Stud. Again, he's proven really popular. He's getting a couple of bitches every week, getting some nice bitches as well. And there's some really good reports of his pup schooling. Obviously, the lockdowns put a stop to everything for the moment, but prior to that, there was I think there's, you know, 1 or 2 special dogs coming through out of him. So as you know yourselves, you know, you always need that 1 or 2 real good pup to come along. You need a talking dog, and then, you know, hopefully the stud career can progress, and you know, he'll do well. I'm sure he will do well. It's obviously a great litter, great dam line. He was a super dog. So it's all there for him, but obviously no guarantees. But yeah, it'd be lovely if he worked out a top stud dog, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's very hard to establish yourself as a top stud dog. One of the things that were the reports coming out early stages, Kev, were the size of his litters. Is that still ongoing? Is he still producing big numbers? He
is. Yeah, he's had some big litters. I think the last litter I've heard of was as 13. So yeah, he's obviously very fertile and throwing some huge litters. But we've actually got three Wildcat pups ourselves, waiting to come over as soon as the transporters get the green light. They've been reared by Paddy Keogh, the Forest Man. And again, there's 1 or 2 very good ones out of that. So yeah, it's an ambition of mine to try and win a big race with a Wildcat or a Bale pup. That would be great.
Oh, fantastic. And let's jump forward now, Matt, to 2020.
Yes, and we've only had 3 months of action this year, but it's another big competition in the bag for the kennel. Last one before the lockdown started, the RPG TV Steel City Cup at Sheffield with Headford Ranger. can see him here winning out of trap 5. He very much seemed to find his trapping boots through this competition.
He did, yeah. I mean, we took him to Sheffield, obviously, with the juvenile in mind. We were lucky enough to get an invitation for that. And he actually missed a break at a mile in the juvenile and did a huge amount of running from the second bend to finish third. I thought he ran a great race that night. But nothing really changed our mind from the view that he was going to be a very good staying dog. But just as this competition went on, he got the break right. His early pace seemed to come back, and he looked every bit a top 4 bend dog again. So I thought he was absolutely brilliant through this competition. And again, it's a great competition, good history, and we were delighted to win it. But no, he looked a proper dog again during that competition.
Yeah, for a St Ledger semi-finalist, he was an emphatic winner over 4 bends there. Of course, he's only had 21 races. Is there a bit more to come from him later?
Yeah, I think so, especially if he can keep breaking like that. I mean, he's got some fabulous form. I think we were the last dog to beat Ice on Fire. He ran him to a great second in the Puppy Classic final at Nottingham, only beaten, I think, a length. You know, he ran a terrific race that night. Third in the juvenile, and now a brilliant winner of the Steel City Cup. So he's been a terrific dog, and he's only just really starting to hit peak form. He's in fabulous condition. He's loving his work at home, and the dog just seems to be coming on leaps and bounds. So, God willing, there is a derby this year, and he'd certainly be one of our front runners for it.
Yeah, as you say, he's already got that form around Nottingham, picked up Ice on Fire in the heat of the Puppy Classic, was only beaten at length by that dog in the final. Now, if there is a derby this year, 8-1 versus 66-1 at the moment, is that price a bit insulting, or are you happy to play the underdog, if you pardon the pun?
Yeah, I think listen, Ice on Fire is without doubt the best dog in the country, and fully deserves to be anti-post favourite for it. But I think there'd be a hell of a lot worse 66-1 shots than Headford Ranger, that's for sure, considering his love of the track, his form's there, and he seems to be getting better and better. So yeah, 66-1, so I think it's a great price for him.
A lovely dog for the remainder of the year and hopefully beyond. And I believe Dave has got some other nice youngsters from your kennels to go through.
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, Kev, I've got to say, you know, as a sport, ground racing can sometimes leave technology sort of on the back burner a little bit. But your website is fantastic. We'll give it a mention, kevinhuttonracing.com. We've scoured over the website, very impressive. Most notably, the sort of kennel news, latest kennel news feature, which is kind of where we've dug out some of the names that we might see emerging from your kennel. But tell us a little bit about the website to start with, Kev.
Yeah, well, I'd always done a blog page for years and years. I think 2006 I started it. And then an owner of ours very kindly sort of upgraded it. And we ran it perfectly well for a few years after that. But I just felt it all needed a real good lift, freshening up. I was keen to get the social media side of it more up to date, you know, with the replays being posted of the big race wins and other wins. And I was very lucky to be put in contact with Rich Vickery. And he's just done a tremendous job on the website. He's very, very good at updating the social media with the big race replays and different things like that. And listen, it's a huge part of the modern world, isn't it? And I think ground racing needs to get into it. And I think it's definitely a big benefit to our kennel, that's for sure.
Okay, right. Well, if it's okay, I'd like to throw some names at you. We'll also chuck some pictures up as well of the dogs, and maybe just tell us a little bit about them, you know, and your thoughts going forward. First up is going to be Droopy's Mansion.
Yeah, Droopy's Mansion. We bought him obviously unraced from the Dumfries. He'd only ever sprinted actually in Kilkenny. He was very, very highly thought of. So we decided to buy him off a sprint trial in Kilkenny, and he's a kind of a little edgy type of dog. He's a Cable Bay dog, and he took a while to settle actually, but he's just come on leaps and bounds in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he's absolutely taken off. I mean, in that gallop we just shown there the bitch that went up in front of him's, I think, won an Open at Monmore 28.04, so no slouch. And this pup's, give her 2-start and beat her a length. So he does look a bit tasty, that fella.
Now, I appreciate we are in lockdown, so no racing at the moment. But in the back of your mind, what do you see of him? Where does he go? Is it a stiff four bends, a sharp four bends? What's his path?
You would imagine with his breeding, he would get a four bend very comfortably, but he's never actually had a four bend trial in his life, so it's very early days for him. I think it would be one of those days where you just see how his trials go, give him maybe a race or two at Monmore and see what the calendar's like and decide where to go from there. But obviously, if we have an English Puppy Derby or the Puppy Classic Nottingham, which is normally August, those races would be made for him.
Okay, well, I mentioned a couple now that have trialled. First up, Signet Blaze.
Yeah, Blaze he's a really nice dog. He's out of our Forest Natalie by the Luggill Blakes. They're not till September. And Blaze was actually the fastest of the litter in schooling at Newbridge. He'd done a 1770 before he came over to us, which was a terrific run, very, very lightly done. He's a very boisterous, big, gangly, backward type of dog. So although his trials at Swindon are slower than a couple of other litter mates, I think he's probably got the potential to go on and be the best of the bunch. And again, he's absolutely flying on the gallop now, and this little bit of a break seems to have really done him good, actually.
And we'll quickly mention Swindon itself is a place where you like to put your dogs, your best dogs, because you know the place like the back of your hand, despite slight tinkering with the shape of it in recent years. But you kind of know where you're at with your dogs when you put them around there?
Yeah, we do. All our best pups and all the kind of big purchases from Ireland will always start off at Swindon. They're brilliant to us, actually. They'll give us no end of trials on a Tuesday. We're lucky that it's only 20 minutes down the road. But more importantly, the track is always in superb condition. And it's a great test of a dog. What used to be the 480, now 476. You can really see what a dog's capable of around there. And it's always done as well. And I say, if lockdown wasn't, happening now, that's where all our pups would be going still.
Okay, we'll move on to Signet Mafia. I'm assuming he's part of that litter.
He is, yes. Wicked early pace. He's I think he's 28.50 class in Swindon. But I remember him doing something like a 13.55 on a day where Badminton Donal done a 13.50, which for an unraced novice pup was a ridiculously good trial. So he's got serious early pace. And the plan was, before the lockdown come in, he was going to head to Romford for a trial or two, and we were going to start him off there. But we'll have to, obviously, sit back and see what needs to happen. But again, another lovely pup. He should have a great future.
And Signet Ace.
Signet Ace is another one from the litter. He's been the fastest one. His trial at Swindon, I think it was his final qualifying trial. He beat Mucky Bray, who'd just come out of the Irish Derby final. And this Ace dog just banged the lids, showed terrific early pace, and just won the trial brilliantly. It was a quite staggering trial. And I say done 28.05, I think, with the going off, which,
wow,
considering, some top class bitches in the Oaks and things like that were going around in around the same sort of times. It was a phenomenal trial. And again, it looks a very, very good litter, and he's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. I definitely make a note of that one, 28.05. Droopy's Culture. What can you tell us about that one, Kev?
Again, she was bought and raced from the Dumfries, very highly thought of in her qualifying trials, schooling trials around Kilkenny. She's a Droopy's Buick bitch, and again, she's probably the last new arrival we had in before the lockdown. But just a really nice way about her. She's a lovely bitch at home. And the last couple of weeks we've been up in her work, getting her used to the routine, the way we do things, and she's absolutely been flying. She looks a really nice bitch, I think we've got there. And again, she might take a couple of races to get going. But I think she could be a bit special, that one.
Okay, and Ballydoyle Blake, I think, is he the one we've seen running around Monmore?
Yeah, Ballydoyle Blake. He's another very nice dog. Actually, I think he'd had 5 or 6 races at Monmore. Only won once and made the semi-finals of the Puppy Derby there. But just not a Monmore type of dog. He needs probably needs a 550-yard type of trip. He's a strong type of dog. And the plan was to take him there for the puppy competition that would have supported the English Derby. He would have been made for that track. But obviously that went a bit pear-shaped. But I think once he steps up to your likes of Nottingham, probably the new Toaster, Hove, those sorts of trips, I think we'll see a really nice dog this year.
Okay, and I know that George and Mike Burton have been tremendous supporters of your kennel. Of course, they owned Screen Critic. They've got a couple of nice youngsters coming through as well, Liberty Bell and Boca Junior. Yeah,
again, Mike and George bred their own bitch, Terminator, who won a good few opens for us around Henlow and Romford. Bred her to Taylor Sky, done the litter, all the schooling themselves. And again, there's 1 or 2 there that have done very well. Liberty Bell's a nice bitch. She ran with huge credit on her debut in, I think it was A4 at Monmore to finish second. And there's 1 or 2 others, Boca Junior and Lights Out, that haven't raced yet, but again looked pretty tasty in their early qualifying trials. So we're lucky. We've a lot of nice young dogs there to look forward to when we can get back racing. And
of the more seasoned dogs, experienced dogs, who are you most looking forward to seeing back out on the track? The likes of Southfield Co, perhaps? I mean, you've still got some top racers in training with those exciting youngsters still to come through.
Yeah, we've got a really nice balance at the moment. We've got some terrific sort of seasoned dogs there. Southfield Code, I think, if the big staying races come back later in the year, he's going to be a top class dog. I really like him. Some of his Central Park runs were pretty sensational. He's going to be a top dog for us, I think, this year. Headford Diva, actually, for Stephen Harvey. She's only had, I think, 3 or 4 races for us, but she's another one. She looks really good. She won A2 at Monmore, I think it was 28.30 odd on debut, and then done 28.80 at Central Park, winning a heat of a maiden competition before coming in season. So she looks really good. And then obviously there's kind of the existing stars to follow on as well. So we've got a lot to look forward to when we get back to it.
Absolutely right. I know Matt's got a couple of questions from some people on Twitter, but I want to see if you got any of the Mystic Meg about you, Kev. If you are to have your second Derby winner in the kennel, who do you think that one might be?
Of our existing dogs, I think it would be Headford Ranger at the moment. We know he runs Nottingham ever so well. He's a very strong dog, going to be difficult to knock out. I don't, probably a length or 2 short of the class of a Wildcat or a Bale, but the dog's still improving, and he give you a great run for your money in a derby.
Okay, well, exciting times ahead, no doubt, with the dogs you've got in training, those youngsters coming through. So, how about them questions then, Matt?
Yeah, we've thrown it out to the good people on Twitter. A couple of questions for you. Now, you became a professional trainer at a young age. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a great question. One piece of advice. I don't know, actually, Matt. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I think probably if I could, I'd probably get involved even more so with the physios a lot earlier than we did. We always use Robert Meek, but I think since we've been using more and more, it's been a huge benefit to us. So probably that.
Lovely. I mean, speaking of off the top of your head, I'm sure we'll get letters in during the week where the 3 of us all use the same hairdresser, but we'll skim over that one.
Mine's new. Mine's new.
There's been a lot of interest in the Australian action during the lockdown, including some English winners. Thank you for noticing. What do you make of the sport over there compared to here, and what do you think we can learn from them?
I think we can learn a huge amount. I mean, I've been following the Blue Tick Syndicate with great interest, actually, with their runners over there. And I was talking to Patrick Janssens in quite some depth after his visit over there, and he actually said the sport is light years ahead of us over there with their use of technology and things just to make everything easier. And obviously, the way the sport is funded is so much better than what we have to rely on over here. So if there's any way we could adopt a similar funding process, I think it's an absolute must for us.
Amen to that. Absolutely. Well, that about wraps it up, Kev. I hope in these strange and unprecedented times we've been able to bring a smile to your face, rolling back the years and seeing the great champions that you've been involved in.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, Dave. There's some great memories there, and during these quieter times, we very often flicked a race or two on just to watch back and get our fix of the race, and we're missing it a lot.
Oh, excellent. Well, you are, as ever, always generous with your time, Kevin, so it is appreciated. I hope everyone who's tuned in as well has enjoyed it. We've got a few more to come, Matt, so don't go anywhere. Don't go out anywhere. Thank you, of course, for watching, joining us, reminiscing and looking forward with Kevin Hutton. There is more to come in these lockdown tapes. Hopefully we're not too far away from racing as well. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you soon.